Hey there, I'm Tracy Spears, speaker, author, coach, founder of Exceptional Leaders Lab, and head cheerleader for anyone wanting to play bigger. This week, I'm super excited to introduce you to someone that just might be the next mayor of Tulsa, Karen Keith. Karen grew up in Muskogee, Oklahoma, put herself through college with scholarships and a variety of jobs, graduating in 1976 from Oklahoma State University with a degree in radio, TV news, and public affairs. Karen has been serving as the Tulsa County Commissioner for District 2 since 2008 and is serving her fourth four-year term. She currently serves on the Oklahoma Historical Society Executive Board, the Oklahoma Hall of Fame Board of Directors, the OK Pop Foundation, and the Tulsa Arvest Board of Directors, and so many more boards that I didn't have time to list them all. Since April 2018, Karen has also been the chair of the NCOG and serves on the National Association of Regional Councils. Active in civic affairs, Keith served in 2013 to 2014 as the 100th president of the Rotary Club of Tulsa. She's a member of Leadership Oklahoma, Class 20, the Oklahoma Academy, and the Chambers of Commerce in Tulsa, Jinx, and Sand Springs. She's also been involved in the Brookside Business Association for many years. Keith led the campaign to fund the new Family Center for Juvenile Justice, which opened in December 2019. Prior to her public service work, Karen spent 26 years in broadcasting with 21 years as KJRH as the anchor, reporter, and executive producer and the host of Oklahoma Living. She is proudest of her work on documentaries that took her to Vietnam, Israel, Germany, Russia, and Mexico. In 2002, Karen became Director of Community Relations and Vision Implementation for Tulsa Mayor Bill of Fortune, serving as part of the team focused on successful passage of Vision 2025. She helped form the Vision Arena and Convention Center Design Committee and the Vision 2025 Downtown Housing Fund Committee. Following her service at City Hall, Keith worked for the Tulsa Metro Chamber of Commerce as the Director of Partnership Development for the Tulsa Convention and Visitors Bureau. And Karen Keith has announced that she's running for Tulsa Mayor with the election day coming up quickly, August 27th. So Karen, there's so many other things I could have read in this introduction, but welcome to the podcast. So great.
Oh, Tracy, I'm so excited to be here with you because you're just one of those great mentors that's out there, always helping all of us.
That is so kind. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Listen, so the first time I remember hearing about Karen Keith was, as most people, listening to, the TV and the news and all the things. But before we jump into that, do you mind just sharing a little bit of your background with the audience? Maybe I said that you're from Muskogee, but fill in a little bit of that, if you don't mind.
Okay, so growing up in Muskogee, we were a family of modest means, I would say, for sure. And, we grew up with a mom who was in school the entire time we were growing up. So mom was the cook in the cafeteria. Then she became an assistant to the principal. She was a teacher's aide. She was a teacher. She was a counselor. And then she ended up as a principal. So, we kind of public service was kind of in our bones too, because she was involved in every single any club that was there in Muskogee. She was in it and she was leading it. And Dad was captain of the Sheriff's Patrol for 30 years or whatever. So, anyway, that's kind of my background. And I was in 4-H. So I was kind of a nerd. I played violin and viola. And I think I was super nerd. Went off to Oklahoma State University. And fortunately, I had scholarships the first year. And then it kind of fell off, so I worked 3 jobs most of the time and then worked my summers on the East Coast in Lawrence, Mass. at this restaurant called Bishop's. It was a huge Lebanese restaurant. And most seven, I talked, the better tips I got. That's disgusting. But it worked. And I needed the money for school,
You do what you got to do, right?
Yes. But, I think I was really pretty shy kid. And I think waiting table, huge for me, because you have to meet people where they are. You've got to take care of them. You got to get it right. If you flub up, you got to tell them, I'm sorry, I messed up, and talk to people. So anyway, I just think that was really helpful to me, kind of bringing me out and helping me be where I am today.
There's a lot of people that think that waiting tables is the entry into the business world, just all the things that you learn. So I agree with you on that. I never did it. but I was an assistant manager at Little Caesars Pizza. So I will say,
Well, that's great.
so I'm gonna go back for a moment. So mom is in the school the whole time you
Yeah.
can't get away with anything.
No. I remember when I misspelled tomato in the 4th grade and the Mrs. Cook took it to my mother. At that time, she was the assistant to the principal. I mean, I got home and I'm writing tomato a zillion times.
That's funny. Oh my
No,
God.
it was true. It was
Yeah.
true. You know, when we were in college, so my brother Mike, my sister Kathy was in tech, and I was at OSU, and he was at NSU. But mother made the best grade. She made straight A's the entire time. Just,
No
and we were all
pressure
like, you know, big fat lower lip. Look at mom. Just, she was, and we never could figure out how she did it. There were 5 kids, and she made our clothes. You know, we just never could figure out, when did she do all this? I don't know, because she didn't have any help. And we had every meal on the table and all that. And I don't know. It's crazy to look back on it.
You know, listen, I mean, just any one of those jobs is a full-time job, and you just, make 5 different jobs. So
Yeah.
as you know, I am follow-up question, violin, do you still play?
Yeah. I don't. And I'm going to say, well, look, I played violin. I don't think I was that great, but I have these long arms. And I think that's why they stuck the viola. It was a school-owned viola.
Yeah.
And I really like, I mean, it's a more melodic instrument. So I really like playing it. And if I could have, I would think I would have played cello too, because I just love the sound of cello. But it was good experience too. That's working with a group, everybody having to, get your act together so you don't mess up everybody else. No.
That's right. I would have messed everyone up for sure. So the podcast is called Shift Out Loud, and thinking about, I know a lot of people get on the podcast and it forces them to kind of think about those things that happened and maybe some of those decisions that were made that shifted you into a different direction. What comes to mind when you think about that? Like, as you look back on a body of work and.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think the first big thing for me was in college. I mean, I was just, trying to get through it. Right. But my junior year, a friend of mine who was in 4-H, in fact, had gone on this thing called World Campus Float. And I just thought, I'm going to do this. And I took out a loan to do it. It was the only loan really that I had to pay back after I got out of school. And of course, my parents couldn't control that because they weren't paying for my school. I said, I'm doing this. I'm going to take this semester at sea. And it changed my life. We were in Africa, we were in India, and then we were in Asia. And I mean, it just really opened my eyes. So there's this huge world outside of Muskogee and Oklahoma and my experiences on the East Coast. So yeah, those are my boundaries, and they got expanded significantly at that time.
So you take out a loan and you are in the middle of college. So how old are you when that happens?
Oh, I was a junior, so I was probably 20.
Okay.
Like yeah.
So somebody tells you about it and you go, yeah, I want to go do that. I mean, what was the impetus?
That was it. I mean, I was just, it's like, I'm doing that. It changed me. So, when I was working in broadcast, if there was any opportunity to go do a story abroad, I was like, sign me up. I'm going, so, and, I still love to travel. And I think you just learn things from other people and greater appreciation of culture that's all around.
I totally agree with you. I've interviewed many people on this podcast that did some kind of a gap year or some kind of a travel abroad. And I always listen to those stories and think, I was so, we grew up here as well. I was just so small in thinking about the world. I wouldn't have even considered that. And I look back and go, what an amazing opportunity. You just gave witness to that, like you all of a sudden go, wait a minute, the world is much bigger. So I love that you had that experience.
Well, and the good thing about that was that we actually got school credits, or I couldn't have afforded to do it because I would have set me back a semester. So we studied African literature before we, so there were classes that pertained to a lot of what we were doing. So it was a huge learning experience too. It was fantastic.
All right. So you come back from Africa. So what happens then? What's the next shift?
Okay, you can laugh at this, but I got as far as California and Tahoe, and I got a job in the casino there. And I was waiting to, I didn't have enough money to get home. And I was too prideful. I know if I had called dad and said, help me get home, I want to come home. But I was waiting tables in what was called the Loser's Lounge. One of my strangest experiences, I got 5 jelly beans for a tip one day. And the wife or girlfriend of the gentleman, he was trying to get some cash under the table, and she slapped his hand. And anyway, it was one of those great experiences because I went back in the kitchen and I showed everybody, and they were all just giggling. And
I've never heard that. That might be the worst tip ever.
Yeah. But that wasn't truly a shift. So I may have shifted us out of the shift, right?
Yeah.
So
no, that's a shift, right? Like that you are in that space. You're learning something in that moment that serves you today, I would imagine, though, right? Like what's the
humility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair to say. Fair to say. So how long do you stay in Tahoe?
I maybe made it 2 months, I think.
Nice.
And then I was able to get home, and I was so glad. And I would, looking back, I wish I'd had that summer with my parents because I think we lost dad in his 60s, and it just seems like it was too soon,
way too soon. Way too soon.
And I just never after high school lived at home ever after that. So anyway, yeah.
What was the next shift? Take me through the next shift.
Well, I got married, and it was a very difficult marriage. And so that was not a good shift. And it took me 6 years to get out of it. And I'm lucky to be alive. It's not something I talked a lot about until after he, but that was a pretty negative shift for me. And I became a workaholic because I never wanted to go home. So I worked a lot, but it was, and why, I look at myself now versus back then that I stayed in that situation. And you hear these stories over and over again about women leaving. I don't know. It's like your brain is cluttered. It's trauma. It's all sorts of things. But I kind of look back on that now. I'm just thinking, why in the world? It's hard to understand.
It is. And yeah, there's so many listeners that can relate to that. So thank you for sharing that. Your shift. What was the job you were doing at that time?
I was working in broadcast. So I was at Channel 2, 8, and then I left to Joplin. I was in television at Joplin, and then Colorado Springs. Well, I had my job in Joplin and went on vacation to Colorado Springs and just took some tapes and dropped them off, and they hired me on the spot. So anyway, it was just, but I love Colorado Springs, but then things were really rough on the home front. So I ended up coming back. I went back to Channel 8, and then finally ended up at Channel 2 for 21 years. So I moved around a lot at first.
You did. How long were you in Colorado Springs?
A year, maybe a year.
Do you look back on that and think, I wonder would you have ended up in the Denver market? What do you look
back? Yes. I had talked with the news director in Denver, and he was like, just put your time in down here. But it just got so difficult with my home life that I just ended up coming back to Tulsa.
Yeah. What was the big dream in the broadcasting business for you?
I think probably just to kind of keep moving up. But I will tell you, when I got to KJRH and had these opportunities to go do work abroad on the store, I was just happy as a clam. That was just, I loved it. And so I, really, I think it was a magical time really for me.
Did you love the travel, or did you love the stories? What did you love most?
Everything. So doing the travel and I just love when you meet new people and they tell you their story, and people will talk to you. It's this. I remember being in the West Bank, and this photographer, Johnny Thomason, was with me, and you just can't imagine how people would just. These guys had camels, and we stopped, and they offered us. They had tea, had a samovar, and they served us tea, and we just sat down there and talked. Obviously it was a broken conversation, but still, it was just lovely people everywhere. And the thing, we also shot in the Gaza in the Jabalia refugee camp. And I remember thinking these were little lean-to huts with pirated electricity. And on the walls were, pictures of grandma and grandpa, the kids, and then education certificates. And you know what that tells me is just in every culture, everybody wants the same. They want something better for their kids, right? It's universal. And, at that time, it was really rough. They're just the poverty was huge. And the kids were playing on the beach, which was also where the effluent went. So it was not a great situation. But still, I met some really resilient, hardworking people, trying to get by, trying to do their best by their kids. So, that's one of those things I'll never forget. It was incredible. Another place we went was we took a Vietnam vet back to Vietnam, and Dan Glenn had been shot down, and he was in the Ho Lo prison for years.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was so emotional. The whole thing was just incredible. But I remember him meeting one of his old guards, and those two men just said, our governments were fighting, we weren't really. And Dan's been back many times taking other vets back. And it was a real healing thing for him. It was something. Yeah. I can talk about that and just almost blah.
Yeah.
But
I can feel that. Yeah, I can feel that, like witnessing that, right? Like you're standing there watching the guy.
Just, yeah. And and that was fun to watch him because he was in this prison where he said, I could hear things and I could smell things, but I couldn't experience any of it, right? So Dan and I were on Cicalos. We were eating food off the spoon. Mostly it was always hot stuff, off the street vendors. And then we were very careful. We had a lot of ba beer, which is, was safe. You had to be careful, water and all those things. But I had a few beers on that trip because it was safe and we could do that.
But safer than water, for sure. Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. So when you are, traveling all over the world and, you come back to Tulsa, Oklahoma, did you have any thought then that you would live abroad?
No. I love Tulsa. I just think it's a wonderful base, and we have so many amazing things going for us. We really do. This is a great place to call home. And you have an opportunity. You travel everywhere, but you call Tulsa home. And I love our airport. It's lovely to come home to our airport. It's easy to navigate. It's beautiful. It's clean. We've got the gathering place. We've got our wonderful arts district. Just so many great things about Tulsa.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I am an ambassador for Tulsa. I do stand on stages and people will go, really? Why Tulsa? And I'm like, well, let me tell you. So there's so many good things going on. But before we get to that, I want to come back to you and ask you, what was the next shift for you? Is there any other shift that comes to mind?
So I think when the next big shift for me was when I left broadcast. And I had been real active in the Brookside Business Association for years, but I was very concerned about our downtown and what wasn't happening. And so a group of us, we called ourselves Tulsa Now. We got a bus. We went to Oklahoma City. We met with the then mayor to talk about the maps and how they started making the changes in Oklahoma City. And then when I came back, I heard about an opening. Mayor LaFortune had an opening at his office. And I went up there and, I was just I really want to work for you guys. I know I'm not in your same party, but I really want to work on the downtown. And I think, I got the job, but it was probably because of my name ID, because they were getting ready to put together Vision 2025 and they needed people to go out in the community and tell the story and why this would be impactful. And that was a huge shift for me. And I really thought that I would miss working in broadcast, but I love the job so much that it was pretty seamless for me. Anyway, yeah, I was kind of surprised about that because it was a big leap. It was a big change, but I really loved our team up there. And the opportunity to work on this transformative package. And I have to remind people, 20 years ago, our downtown was dead. And when we voted to lift ourselves up, create a BOK center, Mayor Taylor did the ballpark. We called them the bookend. And then the private developers, hats off to them. When they saw us as citizens investing in our community, then they followed doing all this other work to bring our downtown back. And I mean, it's incredible what we have now. We all know how important philanthropy has been to our success, right?
No question.
We recognize that, and I'm so grateful for that because it's been a combination of public investment, philanthropy, and private developers. So that you can look at Broken Arrow, you can look at Jinx, you can look at Owasso, and any of our communities within Tulsa County where we voted to do Vision 2025, everybody was transformed and has done some great things.
Yeah, I remember when it was being talked about and how exciting it was as a Tulsa citizen. And now that it's 2024, I mean, let's think about that. Vision 2025. Isn't that just mind-boggling?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
So what are the big things that as you look at what you are most excited about, at that time when you're trying to put the Vision 2025 together, what was the thing that you thought was most exciting that has or hasn't happened?
Well, I think the BOK arena, and making that work and truly building an iconic building. I mean, selecting Caesar Pelli was a big thing for Tulsa. I mean, at the time he had the Petronas Towers in Malaysia, 2 tallest buildings in the world at the moment. So, we have this world-class architect who came in and he just loved Tulsa. He loved the deco fabrics that we had downtown. And he loved the Native American culture that was surrounding us. And I just think he created something wonderful for us. And artists loved the building. Mm-hmm. I think it's work and it's something truly iconic.
Wow.
So, and it fits. I just think it's great.
Me too. Agreed. So what's the next shift? So you go from being on the team to now you take us into that shift into politics, because you really, really kind of made the transition.
Well, I mean, we were so busy. It was, you really did not have time to think about this was a major transition because we were just running and gunning all the time. But after Bill lost his election, then I was kind of like, uh-oh, what's next for me? And Suzanne Stewart, she was with the Visitors Bureau, hired me to come in and work with her, which helped me immensely because I was working on we were trying to recruit the Arabian Horse Association to Tulsa. And so I was raising funds for, get them here and all this stuff. Well, and now, of course, they've been here ever since. And it's a huge economic driver for us. I mean, our investment in Expo Square has really paid off because the horse groups love to come to Tulsa. They just love being here and our facilities are fantastic. They like the people and check. It just works for them.
Yeah.
So, that's a big deal. I mean, at Tulsa County, we furthered those investments, making sure that that's a first-class, world-class facility.
What was it? So as you're going through that and you're navigating the political climate and you're thinking about what's next, it sounds like maybe taking jobs that were offered to you more than being like, this is what I want to do. Is that true?
Yeah. So, well, I stayed at the chamber for about a year, and then Bob Dick, who I worked with on Vision 2025, was the county commissioner at the time. And and Bob in his own way was like, got to run for county commissioner. I was like, what? Got to run for county commissioner? It planted a seed. And then I really did start to look at it. I was like, I'm going to do this. And I think Pat was probably ready to kill me running for office. And that was the toughest election mentally. That was in 2008. Because I'd never done anything like that before. But we won, and then I've been there for 16 years and just love the job. I love my colleagues. I mean, working for the county it's a good experience. We just have pretty darn wonderful employees, and people work hard. And I've got great friends there too.
Nice. So as you're in that, what was the hardest part to learn in that role for you?
Well, kind of learning the county for one thing, and also learning that there were three individuals. You got to navigate all three of you. Well, you can get two to agree and get something passed. And so, for the most part, we've all been pretty simpatico, but it's not always that way. But you um, have to learn to work with other people and understand you're not always going to get what you want. Period. That's just the way it is. And then, I think having to, work across party lines became seamless for me. Senator Imhoff and I worked really hard together to get that levy funding out of the ground. So that was huge. And then Congressman Langford also pitched in, as well as Herm. And so we got that 137 million. So, I mean, those were things I had to learn and understand that you can't really do anything and just say, I'm doing this, I'm flying. So you're not going to get it done.
Okay. Yeah. Is it heartbreaking for you as the seat that you're in, who's been successful at navigating those relationships and connections and creating a bigger vision that people can get on board? Has it been hard for you watching how hard that seems to be in the political climate right now?
Yeah. It's kind of sad actually that people their jobs really should be to serve the public and not serve ideology. And I think we've really gotten away from that. There's a book, If Mayors Rule the World, but it just talks about how in local government, not just being mayor, but, county commissioner, those local government, they're the ones around the world, whether you're in India, wherever, they're the ones doing the boots on the ground, a lot of the hard work to keep things moving. It was pretty interesting and affirming book. Yeah, I mean, it is hard, and I wish people would get back at it. I mean, even Senator Inhofe, Barbara Boxer was one of his best friends. He and Hillary used to walk with each other. Their offices right next. When they go to session, they would walk together every time. Bernie Sanders, they were close friends. It's so interesting. But back then, that group, they might disagree, they might fuss and fight on the floor, but they would communicate, and then they would support each other's bills to help them be successful, right?
Yes.
So it's working across the aisle. It's important.
It is. That's that whole idea of debating ideas and not each other. And it feels like, yeah, that's a skill set that I think you have. I'm glad you have it. And it's going to be what's required, for anybody to get anything done in the future. But when do you say, I'm going to run for mayor? Give us an idea into that shift. What led to that?
I think it's always been in the back of my mind for a while. And then as GT was leaving, this announcing that he wasn't going to run again, I thought, there's some things I know that Mayor LaFortune wanted to get done. It's kind of each administration has tried to address some of these issues at Tulsa with certain departments that make it difficult for developers to do their work. So I just feel like I'm kind of uniquely positioned to go in, work on that. And I'm not worried about, I'm not going to go to Congress. I don't have any other agenda. I just want to do the work and, get some things done for the city. So that's kind of where I thought, okay, I can do this. And I want to do it.
That's what I love about you is you leave the broadcasting world, which you had there was a lot of runway left for you in that, because you are on a bus, thinking we can make Tulsa better. And so then that gets you into that position. And so you sit here now saying the same thing, that listen, you just want to make Tulsa a better place. But yet you could have ridden into the sunset here, and you're like, this is a very big job that you are vying for. So what are the big things that are on your mind as you think about what needs to be done?
Well, clearly we've got to address homelessness. And again, it goes back, we got amazing philanthropy. We've got some really good things in place, and we got the new mental health hospital coming online. that's going to be a huge help. Grand Mental Health has come into play in Tulsa. They're doing a great job. Parkside is now taking care of our youth. So having those mental health pieces are critically important. But you've also got groups like, John 3:16. They have done amazing work with getting people off the streets, helping them get sober, wraparound services that make a difference. The Salvation Army, they've done really great work. And then Tulsa County, frankly, has a family shelter. And so we take these families and get them rehoused as quickly as we can. But in that process, they're also making sure that, they've got all their medical benefits lined up. They've got all their IDs. A lot of these folks who kind of fall off the edge, they lose their credentials and they don't have what they need to get the services that they need to get back on their feet. So, so Tulsa County has been working in that space from the beginning, and I'm really proud of the work we're doing at our family shelter.
Nice, nice. Well, listen, any other shifts come to mind for you as you're sitting here now, just a couple of weeks away from the big election, right? So,
yeah,
what's on your mind right now?
Well, it's how do I need to go meet more people, and do I need to talk to them, and what questions do they have for me, because I want to answer them, and what are their issues? Talk to me. Tell me what's bothering you about the city. Those are things we need to pay attention to.
Well, I've seen you on social media. You're definitely doing what you can to meet everybody wherever they are. So that's been impressive to watch. Has that been, probably the job might be easier than running for the job. What do you think?
Well, it's running for the job and keeping my county commission job, keeping everything in the air. I think it's going to make the job feel kind of like, I mean, it's obviously it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough work, but I have some incredible people that I intend to surround myself with. And that's the only way you're going to be successful. If you have really people focused on the issues, my priority to move the needle on them, because I can't do anything by myself. And so that's my plan. I want to have some great people employed, working with me, and I think we can make some headway.
I love that. I love the idea of that. So as I'm listening to all the shifts that you have had, and it feels that this is the perfect time for you, that you have, built this body of work and this network and this community that, really prepares you for being the mayor of Tulsa. So you've got to feel good about that. Yes,
I do. And I think if I go even back to college, I mean, for me to have said, I'm going to go around the world, that was kind of crazy at the time looking back. But taking those risks and then, I mean, everything, not even having enough money to get back home, nutty, and well,
there's a resilience, right? Like you've got the resilience in all of that.
Yeah. Yes. And then, and of course, I've clearly made some mistakes along the way too. But been able, fortunately, because of family and friends, been able to bounce back. And I guess that's a huge asset to have as well. Be surrounded by people who really support and help you get where you're going to go. I mean, again, I think about that. My colleagues at the county, they're phenomenal, and working together as a team. So that's given me some skill to, I think it will help me in this office navigate bringing all the different players together, listening, and then working with employees who may not be the most motivated to be outward facing, friendly with their clients, who are you and me and the citizens, and working with them and saying, hey, let's build a little different culture. Let's do that. And how would you all suggest I do that? What would you like to see? Try to get, work with them. That's some of what this job is going to require.
For sure. For sure. Well, you've been on some amazing teams, so it sounds like you are ready to tackle that. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
How can people learn how, so you said you just threw out an invitation. Tell me what's on your mind. If you're a citizen of Tulsa County, and how can people find you? What is the best way for them to reach out to you?
So they can go to KarenKeith.org. They can reach out on Facebook. They can well, half the town has my cell phone number. So not the best kept secret anywhere. So a lot of people just text me or call me or whatever. So they can reach me. They reach me, of course, at Tulsa County as well. So, but that's kind of fun. But working with people, and I think the difficult part is there are individuals out there who are just I call them negative Nellies. They don't ever see anything positive, and they don't want to see anything positive, and that can be kind of tough to navigate at times. But you have to just keep going forward.
That's right. Yeah. I watched some of the questions that are thrown out on social media for our city. I've watched a few recently, like, what do you think of this and that? And my first reaction is always that I'm excited that we're trying new things, or I'm excited that what we're doing. But that's never the first, 30 responses. It's always, this is happening to us instead of for us. So I love that you're optimistic and that you are looking to make sure people understand that that things are happening for us. And that Vision 2025, then we just for a moment say, imagine if that didn't happen, if that didn't happen 20 years ago, where we would be. So
it's hard to think about that. I mean, they had a couple of failed initiatives before that was successful. And it changed the trajectory of Tulsa County.
right.
Yeah. I mean, so I think we've got to build a new courthouse, and that'll be a countywide initiative again. And so as mayor, I want to work with the county to make sure that project's successful. But in the process, again, we'll be asking the communities, what is it you need? If we're going to do a countywide package, what is it you need? What's next for you as well? So that will also include the city of Tulsa. So, and the citizens will need to kind of step up and say what it is they're interested in. What's the next big thing that people want to see?
What is on the list? What do you think is the next big thing? What Vision 2045 have in it?
I have my pet projects, but are they what everybody else wants? I want to see continued investment in Route 66. We have the Cyrus Avery Bridge, and it's really crumbling. And I think it's the most valuable piece of Route 66 fabric in the state of Oklahoma, maybe in the country, because Cyrus Avery, County Commissioner, he was on the Route 66 Commission to build the highway. Had we not had that bridge, it never would have come through Tulsa. So that bridge was our link to getting Route 66 through here. And I envision, we've got all the investment with OSU on both sides of the river, right? And that's the connector right there. And then the new VA hospital, and then the huge mental health hospital. So a lot of this medical district, but there's no place for them to go grab lunch or anything else. So this bridge could be reconstructed to house some restaurant and retail, and then connect those two medical nodes. Nice. So, I mean, and then imagine how much fun we can have on the 4th of July with a big party down there, celebrating 4th.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, that's one and it really is a way to add land, because there's just not any place to really develop right there.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking as a citizen, like so I have your ear. What do I want for the city?
What do you want?
Okay. The only thing I can think of, I ride my bike every day, is I just want 18th Street to be paved. That's it. Like from down to the Boston area.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. 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 18th. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you going to D'Alessandro's after you ride? Are you going
right? Right, that's exactly right.
The farm bar,
the farm bar. The shout out to Lisa and Linda at the farm bar. All that, the whole area.
Yeah.
So, listen. As someone that is a lifelong Tulsan, I just want to say thank you for your service, for all you have done. And I know that you're being modest. There's a lot of other things you've had your hands in, and I'm cheering you on, as you know.
Thank you.
Of course. And just a giant thank you for just all the public service that you have given the city of Tulsa and the citizens.
Well, thank you, Tracy Spears, for how you sell Tulsa, and it means a lot to me to have your faith in me and confidence that I can do this. So, and I may be calling you for help. So there.
I will wait by the phone, as you know.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Thanks
so much.